It's controversial for many reasons, will cost nearly £20 billion, might mean moving the M1, and you could use it to get from London to Towton sidings lightning fast. And today the HS2 rail project survived 9 out of 10 legal challenges at the High Court. The government's calling it a landmark victory and a green light to press on without delay. Opposition groups are already preparing to appeal. Well, I spoke a little bit before the programme to Joe Rukin, who's the campaign manager for Stop HS2, and to Ian Greenaway, the president of the Derbyshire and Nottinghamshire Chamber of Commerce, who are supporting the development. I said to Joe, what's wrong with superfast trains?
There's no business case, there's no environmental case, there's no money to pay for it. It's a vanity project. There are better alternatives in investing in the existing rail infrastructure that will give more benefits to more people more quickly for less money, and it's massively environmentally damaging.
What kind of better options?
Well, 51M, who were one of the groups bringing the legal challenge, a group of 18 local authorities, put together a plan of investing in the existing infrastructure on rail, which would deliver a 135% increase in capacity more quickly for less money. And, that's exactly what the economy needs, because the other major point about that is that would deliver benefits across the network instead of these very narrow point-to-point services that you would have with HS2.
Ian, doing something faster and for less money, that sounds like a businessman's dream. Surely you should like that idea better than HS2?
I think from a Chamber perspective, we would like to see further investment in the existing network as well. Things like the Midland mainline electrification obviously are very welcome, and they do bring a quicker result. However, we still believe that by the time we're talking about HS2, which is 20 years plus hence, the capacity constraints will be back again, and we really do need to invest in a high-speed network to complement the existing network.
Joe, how do you feel about today's ruling? Because everybody seems to be calling it a victory, regardless of which side they're on.
I've seen that the government is trying to say that being deemed to have acted unlawfully in a public consultation that will requires them to not compensate people properly is a massive landmark victory, which I find quite amazing.
Well, they won on 9 out of 10 of the challenges, didn't they?
Yeah. But the thing is that basically what the judge more or less said is that there's no law against the government being stupid. He said that many of the claims that campaigners have been making may be right in terms of the disruption, in terms of the negative impacts of HS2. However, they are not necessarily illegal for the government to be that daft, unfortunately. What we found is that HS2, for example, the appraisal of sustainability, the environmental not environmental assessment they did, he said that would be inadequate if a decision had been made, but he accepted the government's defence that despite the fact that over £250 million has been spent, that the decisions document wasn't actually a decision, it was only a plan. So, you're getting into legal intricacies here, really.
You are, and at the end of the day, I think most people accept this is not going to stop HS2, is it?
No, what's going to stop HS2 is when the government realise that this is totally unaffordable. I said that £250 million has already been spent. They are over budget now, 4 years before a shovel is due to hit the ground. And the reason for that is that, you've got consultants who, for example, have been given 18-month contracts who have already spent over that budget in 9 months, in half that time. So it's no wonder that you've got organisations like Chambers of Commerce that, represent some of those businesses saying that they want HS2.
Ian, do you understand how people like Joe feel about HS2?
I understand there's two sides to the argument, and in fact our own survey showed that 58% were in favour of HS2, 30% against, and 13% don't know. So there is a sizable minority amongst our survey who are
Is that a survey of your members?
That's correct.
So only 50% of Chamber of Commerce members?
58% were yes. 29%.
So, but they were Chamber of Commerce members, is the point I'm making, not members of the general public. So, I would assume that members of the general public, you get a very different result. And I would have thought of the Chamber of Commerce, you would have had, to only have 50% in favour from the Chamber of Commerce is quite low, really.
Well, 58%. I mean, you've got a 2-to-1 ratio between the yeses and nos, which is not unusual in surveys. But I think, as I say, we need to make sure that we're making the right decision. But
what do you think that proportion would be like in the wider public, Ian?
I would think once people actually understand the arguments both ways, and I don't think they've been made strongly enough either way, in all honesty, that the result would come out fairly similar to the survey we've had.
All right. There hasn't been a single public survey that hasn't come out in our favour, i.e. against HS2.
Ian, who won today in court?
I think you could probably call it quits, because I think the points that Joe's made are absolutely correct, in the sense that it's not good news when governments are found to not have been acting in a correct manner. Having said that, and we definitely need to clear up the issue of compensation, because whilst ever it's an open question, then it's going to blight those individuals and those companies along the route who might be affected by having to relocate. So, as I say, I don't think it's good news that when you find out things have not been done properly.